Welcome back to another episode. I'm very excited to talk about this as this may get controversial, but it's not talked about enough. And today's episode is America is moving backwards. And you want to like, how is America moving backwards? So what does that mean? Well, before I kind of explain to you, is kind of all starts off like this topic is not talked about enough because it still falls in this category of like people are still struggling to lose weight. There's so much information out there now that people are having a tough time to understand where they should start, what they should do, or who to get advice or information from. And it leads to the last thing where eating healthy becomes a diet and eating shit food is the new norm. So if you like look at these three and you think of like, are we really moving backwards? Well, we still are, because like if those three things were not mentioned, we won't be in this predicament. We won't be in this situation of struggling to eat healthy, struggling to lose weight, struggling to feel better, struggling to live the life that we deserve to live. So if we look at all those, let's just take a step further, right? Let's move into when the lockdown happened. What did we do when the lockdown happened? Well, we decided to close the gyms and we started isolating ourselves, right? So making us like consume more news than ever before, or be on social media like all day, every day, because we couldn't go out, or we did, we had to wear a mask and we had to be 6 feet from each other. A lot of people didn't like to do that. So we do these two things where we close down the gyms and we isolate ourselves. So what was their best option to do? Well, they decided to keep fast food restaurants open, which I don't understand how that makes sense, but it happened. And then we make it more convenient for you guys for you to do DoorDash or Uber Eats. So it allows all the fast food restaurants to get the food delivered to your house. Again, like it was weird because like those people, like you couldn't like had to deliver with a mask, and like they'd take your food to your place to deliver those foods, which again didn't make sense, but it is what it is. So make you guys more susceptible to ordering those foods versus going to your grocery store, getting the foods you need, cooking it, all those things like that, right? And on top, we went from having office jobs to having remote jobs. So a lot of offices, when lockdown happened, switched to remote. And even to this day, half of the jobs, so most, are still either hybrid or still working from home. So a lot of activity based and socialization was cut down to little to none, based off making that switch of from work as office jobs to homes. So, and it doesn't stop there either. It still happens when we're kids, right? We go through school, through elementary, all the way through college. What were we fed, right? We were fed mostly processed food, high in carbs and high in fat, low in protein, right? We always look at those meals. We always had like either pizza, some type of fried food, a sandwich, you name it. What was on the side? You just get either some like mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, anything along that was classified as a side, and then you get some milk. And you might get some fruit sometimes, and other than that, you get desserts if you really want to. So what did that consist of through elementary all the way through college? Well, that was consist of processed foods, refined sugars, and carbs, right? So it wasn't really a balanced meal. So when we adapt those things of like going to school and like doing all these things, those habits still stay with us. And that mentality is stay with us based off those habits. So we fast forward into now, we're still in the same predicament, but it's even worse than it was before, because we shift all this paradigm to being, we've been the most sickest, we've been the most unhealthiest, and we've been the most laziness. It's all based on the shifting of what happened 4 years ago. And why do I say this as well? If you haven't realized it by now, that the government is not helping you lose the weight or is not helping you change your lifestyle. The doctors are only prescribing you medication based off like what you tell them, what information they heard. And you keep repeating this process of visiting doctors every 3 months, getting a new prescription because that dosage is not working. Whereas where they don't look at your lifestyle, they don't look at your eating habits, they don't look at your daily activities, they don't look at any of those like root causes. And if you understand any of this, like any of this conversation today from this video, I want you to understand this: movement and diet is the best medicine out there. There's no other medicine that can cure anything but movement and diet. And then again, based on the conditions you have, again, There's a lot of things that could be out, but for the most important part, like blood pressure, cholesterol, a lot of those things can be solved just through diet and movement alone. Again, you have to advise to your doctors based on the norm, like the levels, all those things like that. But for the majority of the part, those can be reversed. Also, diabetes type 2 can be reversed through movement and diet. So it's like when we look at that, they all just keep prescribing you, have you keep doing the same thing, have you go on prescriptions, and just refeed you that silker loop, right? And damn, what do you feel? You still feel like shit. Your body hurts, your body's not in the greatest condition. You don't have the energy to do things, you don't have the energy to live the life you want, you don't have the energy to do things with your kids, you don't have the energy to do any of the activities you want to do. So when it comes to looking at this at a different spectrum and broad terms, like we're making ourselves more sick than actually healthy. Let's take a look at like when there's this research study came out last year from Tufts University saying like processed refined sugar cereals was more healthy than like a steak, eggs, fried butter, chicken, you name it, all those whole foods. So like, does it? I should really question is like, does that really make sense, or does that really they pick on how you should eat or like what you should eat based off the research is like no, like it's again completely backwards. Like right, we're saying they're saying that refined sugars and carbs, processed carbs, is more healthy than having protein, eggs, steak, chicken, and all these fruits and vegetables, right? So it's like if you really look at it, it's like you really got to see the bigger picture. Is like they're not helping you to get more healthy; they're helping you get more sick and go towards that direction they want you to go. So when it comes to like going the opposite direction, this is where like their fear of like going because if everybody went to this other direction versus what their pathway is, they'll be out of business, out of line. They will not be in the picture. But this is where we stand because everybody again has the same habits, and I understand it's not your fault. These habits have developed over time, and it's hard to break a habit. I get it. I totally understand you. So it's like when we're trying to shift these habits, it's hard. And why it's hard? Well, because like again, when we look at why eating healthy is a diet versus like the norm, it's like the texture is different. It's more satiating. It's more palatability. And again, it doesn't taste as great as those processed foods. So it's like when we and going from being a kid eating those things, we move all the way to adult. We still kind of do the same things, right? We have chips, we have cereal, we have junk food, little Debbie's, anything you name off those things. Is we still do the same thing what we did as kids because this is what we've been taught, it's what we've been learned. So try and shift that paradigm of doing actually eating a whole balanced meal versus just eating the other side, it's hard to shift that because your body's just so used to it. So when you try to do something new, your body's not gonna like it because it doesn't like the response, it doesn't like the taste, it doesn't like the texture, it doesn't like any of those things. Because if you look at international, have you ever been to international or just seen the international countries? It kind of makes you question like what are they doing that we're not, right? Because if you look, these countries don't have that much currency or resources as we do, but they're doing something right that we're not. So like, if you ever gone there, it's like you ever eat there, as mostly they got like if you look at the ingredients that we have versus there, all the ingredients that we have are banned in most countries from international. So that kind of always should say you something. Two is like if you ever eat at a restaurant or eat food from there, is you don't feel what you feel here. You don't feel blood. You don't feel inflamed. You don't feel tired. You don't feel like shit after you have a meal versus there. Because again, the portion size is not as big as what we have here. And on top, there's so much more activity to do. They're either walking or biking to work, or they take public transportation, whether it's trains or buses. Unfortunately, you live in a big city like Houston, any part of the big city that doesn't have access like that, like Houston, it's tough to do that. But you still gotta find ways to get yourself active. Whether it's like getting Houston is like not like a walkable access to a lot of things, but they do have parks, so it's like you can utilize parks to get your activity in. So if we're looking at like what the international is doing versus what we're doing, it's just we're just completely backwards. And like how do we shift this is like or how do we break this? As well, one, we gotta understand that eating healthy is not the diet that has been the norm since forever long ago. We just gotta understand that processed foods is not very healthy for us. Again, we can have these things in moderation, but again, that's if you're the person who's been having like all these processed junk foods for most of your entire life, like it's you gotta make a change for it. You gotta find ways to cut yourself back in it. And get always those foods are always going to be there. Trust me, they're going to be on the shelves, for 2 years from now. They're always going to be there. So if you want to get yourself right first, and if you still want to have these foods down the road, by all means go for it in moderation. But again, you've been the person who's been on this side, you know, take yourself 6 to 12 months to get yourself on the other side, get your body right, get you feeling good, make you losing the weight, make you feel get back into those clothes, or just feeling energized again. Whatever the case is, you desire, do that. And again, those foods are always going to be there. Don't feel like it's left out because like you can't have these things. It's like they're always going to be there. They're on the shelf for like 2 years. What do you think that is? Because like they get all these preservatives and other things to make them last as long as like Whole Foods, right? If we also take a look at Air National, most of their bread is gone by the next day. Like they have fresh bread the day of, and then the next day they're sell for half price, and then after that it's done because those breads don't last that long because they don't have the extra additional ingredients that we do. So that's the first thing is like if you've been a person that's been focusing so much on junk food and process or takeout, whatever that is, start focusing on the other side, just like having whole balanced meals, protein, high in protein, a little bit carbs, a little bit fats, and you're good to go with fruits and vegetables. Second thing is, we gotta start getting back into being active again. It's like we shift the paradigm of working from home, not socializing, not doing activities with other people and things like that. So we gotta get more active. It's like either go into the gym, or I understand that gym can be intimidating, but go with a buddy that has been going, or know some people at the gym that goes so you can go with them to get yourself comfortable and get yourself used to, have them teach you some of the exercises that you don't know. Do that. Get yourself acclimated to the gym because again, the gym is your best community. So the way you can get that is again, no one's judging you for you starting out because everybody has a goal and everybody's trying to work on becoming a better version of themselves. So at the end, no one's judging. Everybody has the same mindset going into the gym. Also, it's like working from home is like trying to get yourself like even like it's like 5-10 minutes walking around the house or something like that. It's like get yourself active more and get your steps in 8 to 10K. Understand that movement is giving more again, movement is medicine. So try to get your body moving. And also like third thing is like especially working from home, like you got the most easy access to getting like home cooked meals. Like you can meal prep the day before, the week before, however you want to do it. And your fridge and microwave is like 2 minutes away from. So there's no excuse for you to like actually eat clean foods at home versus like getting like takeout food or having it or like delivered to your house or anything like that. And number three is like pick the information that's gonna work best for you and pick the information that's gonna meet where you're at. Don't try to like do all these things that's gonna like develop you in different chaos or different like burnouts because again that's what's gonna keep you stuck. So find information that works with you and that's gonna meet where you're at, and that's how you're gonna get more success out of the information. Because again, I understand there's a lot of information. There's a lot of people tell you that you can't do this, you can't do that, or X, Y, and Z, A, B, C. There's a lot, but again, find the things that work for you and find the things that meet you where you're at. So, guys, I hope you enjoy this. Again, I understand this is controversial, but this is what has not been talked about enough, and it's been crazy to think that we actually did move backwards and move forwards. And it's like this is why people are struggling. So, you guys like this? I appreciate you guys listening to this. If you don't mind, like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.